Welcome to Resilience and Resolve with Lance Drury.
Welcome back to Resilience and Resolve with attorney Lance Drury. Lance has spent more than 30 years helping individuals and small business owners resolve serious IRS tax problems. I'm Evan Mack, and today we're talking about when the IRS files a federal tax lien. Understanding what triggers a lien and what it means can help people respond before the situation becomes even more difficult. Lance, sir, welcome back.
Good morning, Evan. It's great to see you again.
Good morning. Good morning. Lance, listen, when someone owes the IRS money, what usually happens before the agency decides to file a federal tax lien on them?
Well, I got to tell you, there's not only rhyme nor reason to what the IRS does all the time, and that's the same situation with the lien. So they may file a lien before you get a settlement with them, but if there's no lien been filed and the liability is greater than $10,000, they're probably going to file a lien just to protect their interest. And that lien gets filed with the Recorder of Deeds office, generally in the county in which you live. Sometimes it doesn't. It's only supposed to attach to property in that county. So what happens is, one of the things, if nobody has a lien, and we can find all that out during our investigation analysis, and the people want to sell their home, we tell them before we get a resolution, you need to sell your home, because if we get you a resolution, you're going to have a lien on the house, and all those proceeds from the sale of the home have to satisfy that IRS tax lien. So if they go ahead and sell the home first, then they're going to prevent that lien. But once we do get them a resolution, if it's more than 10,000, now sometime if it's under 50, we can talk the IRS against not filing a lien against the taxpayer. But they have the right, if there's more than $10,000 in tax liability, to file a lien.
For someone hearing, the term for the first time, what exactly is a federal tax lien and what does it do?
Well, the question I get a lot is, what's the difference between a lien and a levy?
Okay.
A levy is an actual seizure of income or property. So it's like they're wiping out your bank account. They're taking 90% of your take-home pay, 100% of your 1099s. A tax lien is not a seizure. It's a filing, just like your mortgage lender files a deed of trust in the state of Missouri to protect their interest, because at the time you sell your home, that lien has to be satisfied. And if the IRS doesn't file a lien to protect their interest, they're going to lose their place in line to a creditor who comes after and has perfected their lien by filing with the Recorder of Deeds. So that's why the IRS files those liens. It doesn't happen all the time right away, but it will come after, you set up an installment agreement with the IRS. And most of the time it happens if you owe more than $10,000.
What kinds of situations or behaviors tend to trigger the IRS to move forward with filing that lien?
Well, obviously, if it's high liability, they're going to want to, they'll pay more and greater attention to that. If you've got a revenue officer in your case, you know that you got one person bird dog in your case. If there's not a lien filed, they're going to be filing it. And like I said earlier, once you get a resolution with the IRS, they're going to file a lien at that point in time to protect their interest.
How does the IRS notify someone that a lien has been filed, and where does that information become public?
Well, the lien is filed in the Recorder of Deeds office in the county in which you live. It's supposed to be. Sometimes they don't, because it only attaches to property in that county. And there's an invisible lien. Just having liability, there is an invisible lien, but to perfect it as against other creditors, they have to file that lien. But, the way to protect their interest is to get this resolved. If they're going to sell the home before that lien becomes, before the IRS files a lien, because if there's a lien on that house before they sell it, that lien has to be satisfied at the time of sale.
You've worked with many clients dealing with these tax liens. You have a situation, Lance, where understanding why the lien was filed helped move the case, towards a resolution.
Well, I don't know that it really has made a difference in that. Obviously, you can get the lien. If you do an offer in compromise and you fulfill the terms of the offer, the lien's going to go away. And it used to be that the lien would be released 6 to 9 months before the collection statute expired. But the IRS is so screwed up now that people have to come back and hire us to get the lien removed or get a letter because these title companies are so scared of the IRS. They're requiring clients to satisfy liens that aren't even attached to that property. For example, if the client has personal tax debt and he's got real estate in the name of his incorporated business, they're requiring them to satisfy the lien for the incorporated business. And to me, they could take them to court. You're making them satisfy a lien that doesn't even attach to the property. There's no way they should require you to do that. So what happens a lot of time is the time's passed. I mean, the lien says it's a self-releasing lien, but those title companies don't buy into that. So people are coming to me. Then we have to go through the paperwork, get a hold of the IRS, and get it in writing that the lien has been released and have a formal release filed in the Recorder of Deeds office in which they live.
So once a lien is filed, how does it affect things like credit, property ownership, or the ability to sell assets, Lance?
Well, again, like we talked about earlier, if you're going to sell an asset, you got to satisfy the lien. And the IRS lien theoretically attaches to all property, your motor vehicle. So if you're trying to sell your motor vehicle, I don't know how many people actually do this, but that lien should be satisfied at the time that you sell the motor vehicle. Now, and it's also attachable to any property that you may acquire in the future. So that's the problem then with trying to sell those assets. And that's why everybody loves to do an offer and compromise, because you fulfill the terms of the offer, the lien goes away.
How does the presence of a tax lien influence the options someone may have for resolving their tax debt, Lance?
Well, I don't know that it's actually going to have a big effect on them getting a resolution. The resolution is driven more by their ability to pay it back. What is their financial situation now? The lien doesn't really play a role in that. But the problem is, even once you get a resolution, particularly if it's a partial pay installment agreement, the lien's going to remain. The good news is the lien's not there forever. The IRS only has 10 years to collect the tax from the date it is assessed, but we have to calculate what that date is because there's so many things that can stop the running of the statute on collections that we have to do that. And because the IRS doesn't have forever to collect the tax, the lien's not going to last forever. The lien has to go away. The problem is the IRS is so screwed up now that people have to hire me just to get a lien released, when in the old days, they were good about getting the liens released 6 to 9 months before the collection statute expired.
What mistakes do people make after a lien is filed that can make the situation harder to resolve in your experience, Lance?
Well, we've got one now. They want to sell the property and they don't care. And they did something that didn't tell us what they were going to do. And now we could have got them a great deal. And now they're going to pay $30, $40, $50,000 more than they should have because they couldn't wait another year for the lien to go away and for the collection statute to run out. But, that's some people are like that. We give advice. People don't always follow our advice, but that's their prerogative. They're the client. It's their personal situation. So they get to make that call. But I've seen a lot of people just screw themselves up by some of the stuff they've done when dealing with the IRS.
So, Lance, for someone listening who just discovered that the IRS filed a tax lien against them, what should they understand about their options moving forward?
Well, they got to get the situation resolved regardless. If they've got a tax lien, that means they got tax liability with the IRS. And the bigger problem than the tax lien is they're in danger of getting levied, which means their bank account can be wiped out, their wages can be taken, their 1099s, assets seized. Every now and then the IRS will go after your home. They'll certainly go after second homes, particularly if they're not income producing. So you just need to get the situation resolved and know that eventually that lien's going to go away because they don't have forever to collect the tax.
Good stuff. Lance Drury, sir. Thank you for your time.
Great to see you again, Evan.
Pleasure's all mine, Lance, and thank you all for listening to Resilience and Resolve with Lance Drury. A federal tax lien can feel intimidating, but understanding why it happens and how it affects your situation can help you make informed decisions about what to do next. If you're dealing with a tax lien or IRS issue and want guidance before things escalate further, visit lancedrurylaw.com. Don't forget to like, leave a review, and subscribe to the show so you do not miss the next episode. Thank you so much, and we will see you all next time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.